Without a shadow of a doubt, it's the Crockett Show in social media history. I want to welcome you to another episode of the War Zone. I got my man in the building, Donovan Sadiq. I got the Queen, Demetrius K. And I am the 5-star general in Baldwin, Louisiana. It looked like it's 1955 again. We dealt with Emmett. Now we got to deal with one. Time to stop singing and start swinging, man. Let's get to it, bro. I want to welcome y'all to another episode of the War Zone, and this is a special one for me because of the topic. And I need you guys to push the share button on the video. Let's share it. Let's do a watch party. Let's do everything we can to get this message out there because I need people to hear me and hear me loudly tonight and hear my co-host loudly on this subject. But before we start that, the lieutenant governor of the state of Texas has offered $1 million reward if anybody can prove voter fraud. Dan Patrick, can you put my money in a Crown Royal bag, homeboy? I done already did that. Can you put my, look, I take it in nickels, dimes, quarters, dollar bills, man. But it's got to be in cash. I don't want to check. You got all the information, what you waiting on. And I think it needs to be proven, not because Trump won this state, so that's not an issue. It needs to be proven to show that we not finna be doing all this stuff down here in the state of Texas. But just on GP, I'm like, Donovan, can you run me my money, man? Because your attorney general already got all the information, man. That's what I got for the news. Man don't want to give me my money, y'all.
All right. In the news today, they are still looking at what Trump is going to do. He has not conceded, and they are now looking at him being a security risk because as president, you are privy to certain information. And they keep saying that, oh my God, it's going to, he's going to do all this and do all that. How could he do all this and do all that if he's going to, if the Joe Biden regime is going to prosecute him for his crimes, or is he going to be pardoned? That's a very interesting question. But for all the veterans out there, again, I don't know what the Marine Corps, the Marine Corps always double dips. They get the best looking chicks. I don't know what it is. These guys are trained killers. Birthday one day, Veterans Day the next day. So they're double dipping during the week. We want to give a shout out to all the veterans out there, Army, Air Force, Navy, Marine, Coast Guard, and now Space Force. And if you guys are looking right over here, when I was in the service, there's only like 4 of us in the unit. That little dark milk chocolate right there was me back in 1988, joining the Air Force, the old Vietnam Greens. So again, happy Veterans Day to all the veterans out there. Demetrius?
Hello, and welcome to Wednesday night edition of the War Zone. I hope you guys are doing fabulous and everything like that. So as you guys can see, we're going to be talking about Quawan Charles, who was murdered in Louisiana, and just a few. But a couple of other things. Georgia, they have to count all of the ballots by hand. Every last single ballot by hand. It is said there's about 5 million of those ballots. Joe Biden is in the lead by about 14,000 ballots. And so the Trump administration is demanding, if you will, that the ballots be counted. Now, originally, the Secretary of State said that there was no fraud there. They weren't going to do it. But the Democrats are now accusing him of buckling to the pressure of the Republicans, Mitch McConnell and them. They're, basically coming down hard on him. So he changed his mind. And now he's going to make the volunteers, if you will, ballot counters count every last ballot by hand. It is said it's going to take a few hundreds of people to actually do that. They have to meet the deadline of November 20th. I guess before the certification, in order to get it done. And so the question now is, who is going to pay for it? Georgia wants Trump to pay for it. So Trump is raising money in order to help with those efforts. So it remains to be seen. Many people are saying nothing's going to change. There is no evidence of fraud or any of that kind of stuff in Georgia. So they're just basically saying it's a waste of time, but give the man what he wants.
Well, let me piggyback on you. My mama say if you say it once, you can say it twice. If you already counted them, what you scared of count them again? What you scared of? Just go on and count him again. Prove him wrong. Be done with it. Get his ass up out of there. That's how I feel about it. But some tell me it may not come back the same. That's just how I feel.
Yeah, I mean, 14,000 votes for Joe Biden it's pretty significant. It's not like it's 1,400 votes. It's 14,000 votes. Now, if I were on the other side, and you guys know I don't have a dog in the fight, I would be wondering if during this counting, if some other madness is going to go on with the side that's wanting it to be counted. Like, is it going to be some, technology going on there? So this whole Georgia thing is turning out to be Florida. It's a mess. It's just really more of a prolonged issue of Trump just really getting the shit and getting out of the White House.
Yeah, well, you need to call the U-Haul people because he got to get the hell up out of there. But, for me, I'm a numbers guy. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. When we got off the show that night, the man was up by 700,000 votes. 700,000, 700K. Go on and count them. But I mean, everybody on here steady saying that I need to drive up to Austin and get my money because I know they cheated in Texas. We proved it. Dan Patrick, can I get my change? Because if not, I'm coming to Austin when y'all go into session, and I'm going to show my naked ass down there. I want my money, man.
I also want to say that today is the day that Nat Turner was murdered. If you guys do not know who Nat Turner is, he was the only slave at the time that led an effective revolt against the slave masters. You guys know he gathered upwards of 75 men to go about murdering the slave master and revolting against slavery. They were successful for a couple of days or so. They had the South shook, the white South, I should say, shook, thinking that it was just thousands or hundreds of slaves who were coming to slit their throats because that's what Nat Turner and his gang did. They murdered a lot of slave masters and their families and their children. But we all know how the story goes. Nat Turner was turned in by, a butter biscuiter, for a lack of better words. He happened to be on the run for 6 months. And when they caught up to him, they not only hung him, but they did some pretty heinous things to his body. But, he went about the slave revolt because he became aware. He learned how to read. He was taught by the slave master's son, learned how to read, and, became aware of what was actually going on. And he was also sold like 2 and 3 different times. And so he began to become angry at what he had found, and the rest is history. But I bring him up to say, because not only marks the day that he was murdered, but he was fighting to free himself and others from the plantation. And I just think about where we are now as Black people in 2020. A lot of us are fighting to stay on the plantation. So I just wanted to, pay homage to Nat Turner, who was so bold in trying to change the trajectory of Black people. But unfortunately, as history always tells us, it's always one of us who was fighting harder to stay on the plantation. So,
well, it's something about them Turner boys. Nat Turner. The other one, Ike. Ike was something else, man. Them Turner boys were cutting up, man. I keep getting phone calls, inboxes about Quawan Charles up in Baldwin, Louisiana. And I know you folk down there is watching me, and that's cool. The only thing stopping me from getting in y'all ass is y'all got somebody else already working on it. I think I said that yesterday. If I found out somebody else was working it, maybe somebody I couldn't work with because we differ in philosophies, that I would not touch it. Well, today I found out that the NAACP from Lafayette is, they're in the middle of that. So my thing is I can't touch it because I'm not gonna do it the way that they're gonna do it. Now, if you're not familiar with the case, picture on is my left. The picture over here, that's Quawan Charles, 2020. What y'all think happened? Well, one story is that he drowned. So that's how you look when you drown. I don't know what the hell going on in Baldwin, Louisiana, but I will say this here. If folk get up out my way, we'll shut that place down. See, because this type of murder is not the one where you sing Negro spirituals. This type of murder is not the one where you compromise. If we're going to allow these people to do this to us, and only thing we can do is a march and a protest, we wasting our time. They're going to keep doing it. And I keep telling y'all, Brother Malcolm, and you've studied Malcolm for many years, Demetrius. It's time to stop singing and start swinging. It's just time to stop singing and start swinging. Donovan?
Let me go on to a little bit of more detail into the case. So Quawan Charles was found dead a couple of days after he went missing. Well, I should say this. He went off with a friend and his mother. His friend was 17. Quawan was 15. He went off with the 17-year-old and his mother. Now, I should say that the 17-year-old and his mother are white. He went off with them. He left without, he being Quawan, they call him Bobby, left without his father's permission. So he really didn't know where he was, made a police report. Turns out when everything, well, not everything is said and done, but what they know now, there was never an Amber Alert issued. You know that for children that have gone missing, they're supposed to issue an Amber Alert to put the word out immediately that a child is missing. Doesn't sound like that was ever done. So on the 3rd, they found Bobby's body in the creek by a sugarcane field or a sugarcane field face down. So now it looks like there are 2 different police officers. I guess the sheriff and the police office, they're investigating different parts of the disappearance, if you will. One police department is saying they're not really investigating the murder, but they're investigating, if I'm not mistaken, Gary, the disappearance. So it's just a nightmare. They're not really wanting to be forthcoming with everything that's going on. It said it's going to take about 2 months or so for them to, release the autopsy and, the details of the case. But it doesn't sound like they're really wanting to, call it what it is. Now we can see the picture. The one in 1955 is that of Emmett Till, who his case was really the match that lit the flame to the civil rights movement. And then here on the 2020, you see Bobby. His body looks very similar. As you guys know, the case with Emmett Till, he was caught, or they said, but we know that is a lie because Carolyn Bryant, the lady in question, said the whole thing was a lie a couple of years back. He was accused of whistling at a white woman. And then the mob, including Carolyn Bryant's husband, broke into Emmett Till's, I think he was staying with an aunt or uncle or something like that, took him out, shot him, all of that, right? And so as you guys can see, the bodies look very similar. That doesn't look like somebody who just tripped over, I'm just presuming, a rock and drowned. There's obviously some foul play going on there. Not a really whole lot said about the people that he left with. Now, it sounds like he knew them because I guess in the article that Gary, you just sent us, he bought a dog, or he was given a dog from the 17-year-old. So he knew him for a while. So it wasn't like it was a stranger, but it doesn't seem like, they're really coming up in, to play there. But we're talking about the very, very dirty, dirty South there, where a lot of things happen to Black people and it gets swept under the rug. But if you ask me, I'm not an expert. It looks like a modern day lynching for one reason or another.
Well, I'm gonna say this here. First of all, I used to work on seismic drilling rigs, and we used to go through the sugarcane fields in Baldwin on those seismic drilling rigs. Ain't no goddamn way in hell he drowned in no sugarcane field. Ain't no goddamn way.
Gary, there's people on here on YouTube saying, I don't know if you guys can see it, but they're saying they can't see the video, and it might be because you have a child up there in that fashion. A lot of times YouTube will block you, so you might want to I don't know if you can blur it or just change the picture.
Hold on a second. Just give me a second.
Sure.
Let's do something real quick.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just do it like this. Now y'all tell me y'all can. If not, then just come on over to Facebook. You don't have to even be my friend, and you can see this live if you struggling with YouTube. First of all, you cannot drown in a sugarcane field. It's not possible. It's just not possible. And another reason why they might be a little apprehensive about even dealing with this case. Let's talk about another case. Baldwin Police Department, the Sheriff Department. You want to talk about that one? You want to talk about the little black girl that was in the car on her way from work? You want to talk about the fact that she was on the phone telling her mama she was getting pulled over by the police? Then all of a sudden, her phone went blank. 3 hours later, you find her on the side of the road, shot in the face. This is why I can't take this assignment with no passive people. This ain't the first time this didn't happen down there. And it won't be the last time if it's not addressed the right way. See, if it ain't no peace, then we can't get no justice. But if it ain't no justice, it damn sure should not be no peace. Baldwin should be just like a 24-hour firecracker stand. That motherfucker need to be wide open every day, all day long until we figure out what did happen to this baby. That's what needs to happen. See, because y'all in these backwood little towns with these peoples, you either need to grow some nuts or you need to move the hell up out them towns, man. Because y'all know what's going on back there. See, all this Trump stuff that's going on. See, these the towns where they can get away with all that foolishness. This is where they can get away with it. You ain't gonna come to the big cities with your foolishness. But if you really want me to believe, and I've worked in those fields, that somebody drowned in a sugarcane field, it's not possible. But more importantly, how did he end up in the sugarcane field? His head it has a gash. So how did that happen in a sugarcane field? It's not possible. Donovan?
Well, here's my take on it. Like I said, that murder is outrageous. It's nothing new. We see it. And guess what? Tomorrow, it's another day. We see white people ready to take up arms and knives and shoot and go downtown over an election. Over an election. We're seeing our people being murdered every day, and these handkerchief heads talking about, well, let's pray, let's protest, let's be calm, and let's do all this stuff. And it just continues to happen over and over again because you guys are suffering from post-traumatic slave disorder, meaning, I'm just so scared of the master. There are more of us in these towns than there are of them. What the hell are you afraid of? But when they get upset, they're upset. We got to sit down. We got to sit down. But we're getting murdered outright in the street. Now, if that was a white girl or a young white man, what do you think would be happening right now under the same circumstances? They would be burning down your house, dragging you down the street, arresting everybody they can arrest, beating your asses, and y'all would be, thank you, sir, let me have another. And I'm trying not to be negative in the sense of being negative. I'm trying to show you guys the difference of how we handle things. Why are we so damn passive when injustice is being done to us? but yet we go ahead and vote in a racist bigot, and we think everything is going to be fine. Right now, with the Biden administration, just like the Obama administration, do you know how much the racial tension ticked up under the 8 years of Obama? I mean, it kicked up. Do you think these white people want to go through another 4 to 8 years and an election that is so called in question, and you Negroes are still unarmed and just ready to take it? Come on now. Come on. We have to do something different now. This is ridiculous. Our babies are being murdered, and you still got these handkerchief heads talking about, well, let's pray on it. God said, blessed are those that help themselves.
I read a different Bible, and we suffering from a syndrome, Demetrius. Post-traumatic no nut syndrome. We ain't got no nuts. And I'm gonna say that, like today, you had a real successful rapper get murdered on the freeway in Dallas. See, we quick to pull them things on each other. We quick to pop them things on each other. But when we under attack by the enemy, we won't pop them things on the enemy. But we'll pop each other in a heartbeat. Say, man, I don't get it. I'm not understanding it. And it don't take, and I tell this, I'm not scared to go nowhere. But you don't need me to show up to do nothing. It need to be you. Because if I show up and raise some hell and we get some results, remember, I got to go home. You got to live there. It need to be you raising hell. These are our children that are dying at the hands of these people mysteriously. You got kids being killed, rolled up in mats in Georgia. You got folks being found hung from trees. And what we gonna do is kumbaya and old Negro spirituals. Don't call 5-star unless the shit finna pop off, man. Now, we're gonna have to have a conversation, but it's gonna be a one-sided conversation. That's what it's gonna be when you have to sit down and talk to me. But I mean, it's time for us to stand up on 10 toes for hours when something like this go down, man, because this ain't working, bro. Demetrius.
Yeah, so it should be said that I guess he was found about 23 miles away from home. I'm trying to be as thoughtful as I can be, because I don't wish this on anybody at all. But I think it behooves us to teach our children wisdom. You know what I mean? It's like we got to get to that part before, anything else. And when I say we got to teach our children wisdom, I think we need to tell them who they can and cannot hang out with. I'll tell you right now, I mean, my daughter is almost 28 years old, but she ain't going nowhere with no white people, that she hardly knows. Now, listen and look at all the cases that we've seen in the news regarding our people hanging out with them people, and they coming up dead. And then it's all like the lady who was, she was spent the night with the soccer moms or the football moms. She was the only negress in the building. And she winds up dead. And they said, oh, she was drunk and fell over the damn balcony. But the autopsy said there was way more that happened to her than that. So we've seen many of cases go on like that. So I think we just need to use wisdom. I don't know why Bobby went off with them. Sounds like he knew him to some degree, but something went terribly wrong between home and where he ended up at. Like, how do you leave with a friend and his mom and you ended up drowned? End up drowned in a sugarcane field. Like, something is off. And the fact that the police aren't really excited about trying to figure out what it was, because in that same article, and I 100% agree, had that been a little white girl, they'd have been found out who did that to her. But, I just can't help but to say, I think, I'm going to say I think because I don't know, but the police and the people who hang around in those small towns, they all have dinner together. He probably knows the mom, and the police probably know the mom and the little boy, and they ain't going to do much about it. You know why? Because they know we ain't going to do much about it.
And that's a cold statement that you made, but it's one of the most truest statements you'll ever run across. We ain't going to do a goddamn thing. We ain't gonna do nothing. We gonna talk. You gonna have a few soldiers show up, but let's call out the big dogs on this one. Sharpton, where you at, man? Or is it no money involved right now? Crump, Lee Merritt, where you at, man? Or is it no money involved right now? You know, NFAC, can you load up all them guns? Where y'all at, big dog? It's time. I mean, it's time for everybody to shit or get off the pot. That's how I feel. Now, I'm going to be honest with y'all, man. I think about it some days that all this revolutionary shit I'm going through, I probably end up dead somewhere. But I'm going to die fighting. I can promise you that. You know, I tell you this here. You snatch me, I'm going to make you a promise right now. I may not make it. But a couple of you motherfuckers going to the hospital, man. Because it ain't going to just go down like that. And see, we got to change our mind frame, man. This is why we can't have certain people leading us right now. Because a lot of these people are stuck in the 1960 mind frame. You are being peaceful with people that are not being peaceful with you. When the last time peace got us any damn thing? Nothing. Everything we ever got in life, we either had to fight for it or we had to die for it. And when you were born, if you wasn't ready to die, your mama should have aborted you. That's how I feel about it, man. It don't take a lot of us to come from different places. It don't take the NFAC to show up. It don't take 5 Star. It don't take the Panthers to show up. You are there. Shut that motherfucker down. And that's what it is. But I will respect the people that are working on it. Maybe they may accomplish the goal, whatever that may be. But that ain't the way I would attack the beast. That ain't the way I would attack the beast. My conversation is not going to be soft. My conversation is not going to be to the point where you think I'm friendly. I'm not friendly with you, man. I'm not trying to hear it. And anybody that would have something to say from a racist standpoint, I'll slap the shit out you. That's how I feel. A 15-year-old kid, his whole life was in front of him. What the hell did he do to end up like that? And you moms, it's time to get these black men back in the household. We keep saying it. And you want to know why? Because this ain't your fight. This is a black man's fight. It's time for us to protect our families and protect all of the women and everybody. It's time for us to do that. I got an opportunity today, y'all don't know him, speak to my big brothers from the Black Panther Party up in the new Black Panther Party up in St. Louis, my brother Bumani. You ain't gonna get away with no shit like that in St. Louis. No. It's gonna be hell to pay the captain, man. And that's the way it should be now. They need to shut that motherfucker down. And I'm sorry, y'all, because I told myself I ain't gonna cuss tonight. And then my phone, and when I say my phone been blowing all day, I'm only one person, y'all. And I'm not scared to fight in no fights. But guess what? If you ain't willing to line up on the side of me or behind me, I ain't showing up. I ain't finna bring no goddamn knife to no goddamn gunfight. We need some soldiers, man. And you dudes out there that act like y'all, see, I don't know who the real gang members are. Think about it. Is it the Crips and the Bloods, which is red and blue, am I right? Or is it the Republicans and the Democrats, which is red and blue, am I right? Which one of y'all the gangsters, man? If you're going to be a gangster in the hood, you need to be a gangster right now for this youngster, man. If you're going to stand up in the hood and act like you're going to kill everything moving, it's time for you to stand on 10 toes for our people, man. Donald?
You know, you bring up a good point about the gangs and, you know, the Democrats and the Republicans. Now, today is Veterans Day. You have all these Negroes, myself included, that have joined the military, and we will take up arms and go fight over to people that didn't really do us anything. But they tell us to go get them, we go get them, right? No questions asked. They give us guns. We have no problem knocking them out and shooting them. But then when we come back here, we ain't, we don't want to spill no blood, but we can spill blood over there, which is what I don't understand. Now, I know you guys are probably sitting there saying, well, Donovan's just talking shit. He was in the Air Force or whatever. Demetrius will tell you the one thing about my neighborhood, as much as I'm out in the public and I'm doing all kinds of troublemaking where I'm at, Demetrius will tell you the one thing they won't do is come down my cul-de-sac and start any shit. Because I'm that brother that walks around with my piece strapped to my side on my property, and I let them know when the police come, I tell the police to get the fuck off my property. I don't understand how we can go to Japan, Germany, the Middle East, and slaughter people all day long that never called us nigga that we're aware of, but then we come home and our babies are being killed. And we have no courage and we have no blood. Today is Veterans Day. And don't get me wrong, this is a great country and it could be again. However, we're talking about our people and our community. Where are the soldiers to defend our community? Not just down in there in Louisiana, in Houston, in California, in Chicago, in Wisconsin. Where are our soldiers? But yet everybody is wearing their military garb, showing that they went out there and served and picked up a gun. These guys are all trained. Take that training and use it for the benefit of the community. Demetrius?
Gary, you frozen? Yeah, I think Gary's frozen. That's not gonna happen. We're not there anymore as a people. I mean, I hate to say it, and I know I've been coming off negative the last couple of months. It's not going to happen. Our people, we don't have it in us anymore. We're not that generation of Emmett Till, where they had people who were like, okay, it's do or die at this point. They are murdering our babies. We need to get out there. It's freedom or death. We don't have that in us anymore. Somehow we've gotten the ideology. I mean, just look at the past election. Look what happened with the last election. Look how many Negroes are so excited that, they chose the right massa per se. Joe Biden is in there. Joe Biden hasn't showed them that he's going to do anything for Black people specifically. They think that's the end all be all. And we're mad at anybody, and I'm going to call them the Nat Turners. We're mad at the Nat Turners for trying to get up off the plantation, for trying to free us from the planet. They were mad at the Nat Turners. And so, I just tend to think the Nat Turners of 2020, because there's a lot of Nat Turners. Gary's a Nat Turner. Donovan, you're a Nat Turner. I'm a Natalie Turner. Those people don't want to get out there much anymore. You know why? Because they know they're going to have an uphill battle, and the uphill battle is going to be Negroes pushing them down the hill, trying to stop them from going. And that's why I don't blame Gary for not that you don't want to be involved, but it's just too many other people who are used to quelling the fire. NAACP. I'm not saying they're not useful in some situations, but overall, the NAACP has kept Negroes docile and keeping us waiting and hoping for the oppressor to finally do something for us instead of taking that Malcolm approach of what are we waiting for? Let's go out there and do it ourselves. And like Gary said, this ain't the fight of women. This is the fight of men. But I hate to say it. I know I'll probably get some hate, inbox, email, or whatever the case is. But we're not dealing with those type of men anymore. We are dealing with men who want to sit in the house, sit behind the curtain, and call Gary and tell Gary to go out there and see what you can get done instead of saying, Gary, it's about 200 to 300 of us out here. Will you join us? They want Gary to go gin up the mob, get everybody together. And like you said, when I leave, what y'all gonna do? I can't bring all the heart with me, because when I leave, I'm taking all the heart with me. And so you guys have to do something, but I hate to say it, we're not dealing with that generation anymore. We're dealing with a bunch of people who are hoping and wishing that massa is still going to deliver us from the situation that he has put us in. So I don't know. I feel sorry for our babies because they don't have the generation of men like my father. They don't have that. Well, my father, even to this day, at 76 years old, if I told him something happened to me, he would do all that to make sure he go get himself a bid in a state penitentiary, behind making the situation right. But we're not dealing with that type of generation anymore. I hate to say it, but it's true.
They threw away all the soldiers. They either killed them off or they put them in the prison system for so long that there was nobody there to guide these boys. So you got 21-year-old kids walking around hollering about they OGs. OGs to what? You ain't no OG, homeboy. You still a baby gangster. But the thing is, we gangsters with our own people. We quick to pull. I seen dudes pull tools on women, but won't pull a tool on a man. I seen you beat women, but you won't fight a man. See, these are the type of fights here where you gotta go get the soldiers, man. But the problem with the soldiers, we so spread out. Yeah, you got an army in St. Louis, you got an army in Minneapolis. You see what I'm saying? We spread out everywhere. But in your own city where you lay your head at every night, you telling me that when it come to your child, you're not willing to lay your life on the line? Then what you had them for? What you had them for? Just to get the food stamps and the welfare? You couldn't you touch a nail on my child hand. I'm gonna try to break your face. That's how I go down with me and mine. I'm old school. Let me tell you something. Y'all youngsters killing me nowadays. Y'all doing them drive-by. I don't do drive-bys. I walk by. I walk by, homeboy. I walk by. See, that's what I'm saying, man. You youngsters, you want to be men and women in a certain facet. But when it's time for you to be men and women, you don't want no parts of this. You don't want to put them big boy boxes on in, homeboy. So us out here that got them messed up demeanors and, all this stuff here. And then my good white folk, I want you to stand down now. I love y'all. Some of y'all cool with me. But I don't need you to say that you trying to start a race war. I ain't trying to start a motherfucking thing. What I'm saying is somebody killed that young man and you think everybody gonna be quiet about it? You think everybody gonna be cool about that shit? And you're right. If it was a little white kid, yeah, Demetrius say they'd have arrested the person by now. They'd have arrested anybody by now. They'd have made up somebody and arrested them by now. But see, when you the wrong pigmentation, this is what you get. This is what you get. And this is why the soldiers in all these cities, man, that I go to, they ain't having it, bro, in some of these cities, man. They ain't having it, man. This is why we need to police our own communities, man. So don't look down on the Panthers when they coming through with them guns blazing. Don't look down on the NFACs when they walking through with them guns blazing, man. Because we got to protect our own people. It's obvious law enforcement can't seem to get the job done. Donovan?
The most disrespected person on the planet is the Black woman. And a community cannot stand if you don't get respect for the Black woman. The woman is the key to the community. Now, it's just funny because this morning, a friend of mine texted me early this morning. She said, Donovan, my son, he just had a birthday last week, whatever. And she said, he has this attitude. He knows everything and you can't tell him nothing, whatever the deal is. Now, Demetrius will tell you, there's a saying, let his knowledge take him as far as it's going to take him. And that's the advice I gave her. And she said, well, I don't understand. I said, let his knowledge at 16 years old take him as far as it's going to take him. Now, us as parents, we know 16 years on this earth, that ain't enough knowledge to take you around the corner. And I said, let him fall. And I said, but you as a mom and your natural nature is to nurture. Let him fall. Do not bail him out if he ends up going to jail. Do not do any of those things. I said, because once he learns to listen to some of these OGs and some of these older folks, experience trumps a degree any day. Any day. And until he learns that, then he will be starting on his road to manhood, and he's going to learn it the right way. But again, Demetrius absolutely right. We don't have those men anymore because we have no men in the homes to show us. So the ladies are raising these young men to have them sit at home, play PlayStation, and throw pudding against the wall. So until we...
Well, let me... Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So start making these soldiers again. We're never going to be right.
Well, I always ask the question, especially when I mentor kids, when do you become a man and a woman? It ain't when you nutted in your 13-year-old girlfriend and you were 15. That ain't when you become a man and a woman. You become a man and a woman when you can financially take care of yourself. So if you're 21, 22, if you're 35, 36, if you're 49 and 50 living at your mama house, you're still a boy. And I don't expect for these boys to show up for these types of fights. I don't expect for the suit and tie brothers with the Brooks Brothers suits and all that fly shit y'all wear to show up for these fights. It's them soldiers in them BDUs with them combat boots. It's Sister Crystal Muhammad. It's Brother Bumani. It's brothers like Brother Nasi up in Minnesota. You know, Brother Derek up in Minnesota. These the soldiers that show up, man. And I'm going to tell you something. You might be a strong black man in a lot of areas, but when you don't show up for these fights, you a punk. You a punk. If I got to fill up my car with gas and I got to go and fight a battle for you in your community, that's your community. That's why they don't respect you in your community, because they already know you a punk and you ain't going to do nothing. Man, I go through some of these cities and get more respect than anybody that's been there for 40 years. Because they already know I ain't come to play no games, man. And when I go with the philosophy, Demetrius and Donovan. I know one thing. It's like me going to prison. I know the day I'm leaving. I don't know if I'm coming back. And I don't care if I don't come back. Because if I got to die on the battlefield, that's what it is, man. I'm going to die fighting for my peoples, man. And then if I die fighting for my people, Demetrius and Donovan going to come on the show and they're going to treat me like a rock star. I can live with that. So guess what? I don't need your proclamations. I don't need that from no congressman, no city council. You know, just to have my people speak kindly of me is more than enough for me some days. Just to go to a certain town and work my behind off and somebody say, man, here's a home cooked meal. That's more than enough. And I'm going to get down for them red beans, partner. I'm going to get down for them. But it's time for us to stop being punks. It's time for us. See, America's worst nightmare. And then I'm going to turn this over to Demetrius. America ain't got no problem with guns. They got a problem with guns being in black folks' hands. And their worst nightmare is the day we take them guns off each other and turn them on them. That's what they're afraid of. Am I telling people to go through Baldwin, Louisiana and kill everybody? No. But Bernie Mac would say it better. I'm telling you to kick ass.
Yeah, you know, and you made a good point earlier that we will get some get back on each other. Yeah, you step on somebody's shoes good enough, it's enough for them to pull the trigger. And, you know, and it's so sad, but you have our people being murdered wholesale by everybody you can think of, and we have nothing to say. But, you know, we should have it so to the point in our communities that people should know better. What do I mean by that? They should know better than to snatch up one of ours and take them and do something to them, like have them face down in the creek. They should already know better. They should know that if one of ours come up missing or murdered, that we gonna turn this mother out. Because you know why? We know better if we do something like that to them, don't we? What's the chance you think somebody snatch a little white boy or somebody black, take it off with a white boy, and then he, come up dead up in the creek? You think they're gonna say, "Oh well, we'll get to it. We'll see what's going on"? Nah, it's gonna be some problem.
Real quick, wasn't that a Susan Smith when she drowned her boys and then blamed it on a carjacking? And do you see how quick the media and the news and the town went to look for those kids? Of course, unfortunately, they were drowned. But just like you said, it was just like that.
Yeah, because that's how it is. But it should be the same way with ours. People should be very afraid to mess with ours. The same thing like with our women going into these Asian beauty supplies or salons and all that, and they continue to get their ass whooped. Those Asian people aren't afraid. They should think, wow, if I put my hands on Bunquisha, somebody gonna come up here and see about me. But they're not even afraid that that's gonna be the case. Like they go in there, turn the key the next day and open up shop like it's no big deal, right? But they're like, they know that we are very forgiving and we are very forgetful. More than likely, that woman is going to be blamed for going up in there. But every man, like Tyrone Muhammad in Chicago, he went and threw a brick window through the wall, and you still had black women up there when the dude, put the yaki weave on sale half prices. So I mean, it's like we don't set the expectation that if you mess with one of ours, there will be hell to pay.
Funny thing you say that. In 1960, a lot was said about the Nation of Islam and their women. Okay, you never saw the women out and about in the street. And Malcolm X said this. He said, what it is you don't see our women out here because we're afraid you're going to molest one and touch one and do all these things. And when you touch a Muslim woman, we must have your head. We got to take your head at that point. And it's still true today. So there is a group that women that even the children, whatever, that you do not mess with. I believe the Muslims still have that edict to this very day. If you disrespect them and do all that other stuff, but here's the funny thing about that. Nobody wants to test that concept with the Nation of Islam. Nobody wants to test to see what would happen if you did disrespect a Muslim black woman and all that other stuff. So that concept is very, very true. Gary?
It's funny you say that because Farrakhan just said it last year. He said, I don't even worry about them coming for me. They already know what's going to happen if they come for me. See, he strikes the fear of God in them. He strikes the fear of God in them. And that's the thing. It has to be repercussions for your actions. It has to be clearly understood that if you touch a hair on Demetrius' head, we want your head. It has to be if you're looking at me, I'm looking at me like, I'm like, damn, I look mean as hell right now. I'm dead serious. I'm dead serious. I got girls. Mess with my child. My understanding is zero. I'm not talking. I'm not doing no talking at all. Matter of fact, all I'm going to be waiting on is the day they say we apprehended the suspect. Because I'm going to bail your funky ass out of jail myself. And I promise you, you ain't going to make it to court. Not if you do something to my child. You ain't going to make it to court. So I'm putting it out there. Think about what you do to 5 Star and his people before you do it. And you know what? That I tell people all the time, that could stop a lot of police shootings. Because if there was really repercussions for these people's actions, they think twice. See, you're gonna give it some thought. You know how you hear when you go to jail, man, and you somebody that bothered you and you ready to do them something, you start thinking, man, I don't want to go back to this cell, man. I gotta handle this a different way. It's gotta be the same way. It's gotta be the same way. But I get it with some of these people that want to, be in charge of all these situations. that you're clout chasing. You're looking for the next set of cameras, man. You know how much work I do with no cameras involved? I don't give a damn about, and the only reason I started dealing with the cameras, because nobody in my group wanted to do the interviews. And I was the most animated, so okay, I do the camera work. But if you knew the muscle that I had behind me, the PhDs and all that stuff behind me, when I say we can do research on you and tell you what color panties you got on tomorrow, that's what we do. I got a better team than J. Edgar Hoover had. That's why when I touch a situation, I know everything about it. But when I touch it, I ain't trying to be your friend. Man, God bless that youngster that died on that freeway in Dallas, but he wasn't lying. Everybody ain't your friend. Everybody ain't your partner.
Demetrius says, when are we getting the hell away from here? You know, that's a good question. It's a question as old as at least 100 years old. Marcus Garvey was trying to get us all the hell away from here. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was talking about separation. Malcolm X, separation. Farrakhan, separation. So there's always been this separation movement, if you will. But I'm one of those people, like Marcus Garvey, that thinks that we need to separate from some of these Negroes. I just think it's time. I know that sounds a little bit messed up, but I just think it's time, you know, because we're going to just spin our wheels trying to appeal to people who don't want to be appealed to. They like what's going on here. You know, they like the marching and the singing and the, you know, pleading and the begging and voting for oppression. They like all of that. So I think it's time really for us to consider a move, maybe not physically just yet, but just in every way, shape, and form. Like just draw a line in the sand, right? You ignorant Negroes who like what's going on, y'all stay over there. For the ones that are progressive and, you know, are conscious and are seeking freedom and economic freedom, all that, then we come over here to this side of the fence. We don't ever have to, like, this is where we can be racist, right? I don't want nothing to do with you, because unfortunately those people, they're holding the rest of us back. But I just think it's a sad day when the rest of the world can watch one of our children be murdered, and we're just like, what's coming on Love and Basketball tonight? You know, what's the latest, you know, dance week? You know, it's sad.
Well, you know what, man, that I'm gonna say this here, and I'm gonna break down what you said in the layman's terms, and I'm serious. And I said it before, man, and I don't want to offend nobody, but I got to tell you the truth. A whole bunch of these dudes got pussy in them, man. A whole bunch of these dudes ain't gonna do nothing. They ain't gonna do nothing but talk. And see, I think I done already show I'm a talker. I'm a talker. All I am is the weatherman. That's what I call myself. I'm gonna give you the forecast before this shit come through. I'm gonna tell you what's finna happen before it happens. But don't be mad at me when it actually happens. And see, that's the thing that I'm talking about. Some of these people stepping up to the plate, they saying what they gonna do. And when it's time to do it, they don't do it. Them the ones I feel got pussy in them. Killing our people, the way that they doing it, my conversation is not finna be nice. My conversation is not gonna be civil, because what happened to Quawan was not civil. It wasn't peaceful. It wasn't law-abiding. But that's what you expect me to be after you've done that? And I'm gonna say this here, for all of y'all that want to leave, first of all, my people ain't catch no motherfucking Uber over here. Y'all brought us over here. Now I'm here, and I'm gonna be one of the ones that say I ain't going no goddamn well. You gonna fix this shit? I ain't going nowhere. And that's the mentality that we need to have, from every little country town to every major city. And when we wake up and start having that mentality, they're going to back down off us. But we got to protect our people at all costs by any means necessary.
Yeah, the funny thing is, Demetrius, remember when we were in Africa and people kept asking us, why is Black people acting this way? Why don't they do these things? Why don't they fight for themselves? In all my travels around the globe, the question that's always asked of me is, why do Black people be treated the way we're treated in the United States? Because what they see, what's going on is we're second-class citizens, we're shot down in the street, we're just going to jail. I mean, every negative stereotype of the Black man is projected everywhere else. I know you guys are watching Tyler Perry's Have and Have Nots or whatever this bullshit that you guys like to watch, right? But the depiction of Black people is we're either rappers or sports stars or entertainers. Those are the only people that make it. When they talked about Barack Obama when we were in Africa, they were talking about him like he ain't a Black man in America. They were talking about like, well, he's one of us. He's Kenyan. He's African. What's wrong with you guys? Why can't you ADOS people, pull yourself up? It's I'm not saying I was embarrassed by it, but they had a good point. Here we have all these programs that are here to help us, and we don't take advantage of them. But they come over and then they do it. And these were the questions they were asking. You guys have all this free education. Do you know in some countries, when you go over there, you could be 9 years old and you're lucky if you could even go to school. You got to have money to go to school. But here we are dropping out, doing this, doing that, and then we want to blame the white man. When are we going to start helping ourselves? When are we going to start rebuilding our own communities? Why the hell are we waiting on Sheila Jackson Lee, who don't give a shit about us, to rebuild our own damn communities? She's been there 30 years and she ain't going to do it. Aunt Maxine ain't going to do it here in LA. She built a goddamn $4-5 billion stadium instead of building housing. We need the soldiers to come out and stand up. We're not just talking about the soldiers in the street. We're talking about the soldiers who really care about the community and have the capital to back it up.
I see the comments from Self-Aware. I don't want to disrespect you, but you keep making reference to the Bible. Can you show me the scripture in the Bible that say Black people should get their head bust open for 400 years? Is it in there? Or is that something that Nat had a problem with because he figured out that they were using religion as a tool to keep us suppressed? They were using religion as a tool to brainwash us. Now, if that's what you believe in, I got love for you no matter what. It ain't what I believe in. I'm through believing in it. I'm through believing it. You cannot bring no religion to me right now, because what happened to Quawan was not godly. I don't even want to hear it. But just remember, it ain't my assignment. So, it is what it is. It ain't godly. I don't want to hear nothing about that Bible, because that's what we revert to every time something happened to us, man. Why is it that when they kill them white folk, you don't see them priests out there with that shit? But the Negro pastor got to show up with his pockets turned inside out with his collection plate. Man, I ain't trying to hear that no more, man. Demetrius?
And I was going to say, too, I meant to talk about it earlier when you were talking about somebody was asking where the Negro leaders, Al Sharpton and all those people, they got what they want. They got Joe Biden in the White House, and there's nothing politically to be gained by this. Now, I don't know if they'll show up or not, but we haven't heard a whole lot about this at all, right? But there's nothing to be gained by this. They got their dude in the White House. A lot of those cats are hoping for a position somewhere. And so, I hate to say it, but the murder of Black people has become politicized, and really, by the white politicians and more so by the Black politicians. So there's nothing really to be gained from them doing that at this point. So it's like, But if Trump was going to go to the White House again in 2021, and everybody be all over. Oh, this is Trump's America. This is because of Trump and the Trump administration. But now there's not, it can't be used as leverage. And so it's like, y'all figure it out. We're going to the White House.
You're not going to hear anything from politicians on this because the election is over. You can't use George Floyd's memory no more to pander votes. You can't use the murder of Breonna Taylor to pander votes. They never gave a damn about George before, and they don't give a fuck about George now. I'm going to just say it the way it need to be said. They don't give a damn about Alton Sterling. They didn't give a damn about Sandra Bland. They didn't give a damn about none of them. But if they can use them to get what they want, and use some of us in the process to get what they want, it was sickening what I saw what they did with George Floyd for over 6 months. It was sickening. You could call emergency sessions of Congress, and you come up with the George Floyd Act, which is a bunch of bullshit. It's a bunch of bullshit. And then you had people that really knew this cat that was out there pandering for you. But remember, I told y'all when I got back from Minnesota, the real work for George was after they put him in the ground. All that fly shit that was going on, man, they just needed to make it through that and stop these youngsters from burning up this motherfucker. But they never gave a fuck about George Floyd. I can take you back in Texas, for a year. They didn't give a damn about Ida Lee Delaney in Houston, Texas, when the cops murdered her. And you gave a cop a $1 fine? Say, man, these people don't give a damn. And when you wake up and smell the fucking coffee, it's going to be too late, man. See, we can't wait for the house to get on fire right now. The house been burning for 60 years. And you motherfuckers still running to the fire with a bucket of water. They ain't give a fuck about George, just like they don't give a fuck about Quawan, man. It's us that got to give a damn about Quawan. It's us that's got to push the needle for this youngster, man. And if we don't push the needle for him, fuck Quawan, and they gonna wait till the next one happen, and fuck him. The next one happen, if it's a woman, fuck her, and that's how they feel.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. And so, I mean, like I said, I just know that, you know, I try not to get too excited about a lot of things that go on with us as Black people anymore, because, you know, you end up stressing. I know for me, it ends up causing me undue stress, because we're dealing with a lot of us who don't want that we like what we like the state that we're in. We might say we don't like it, but your actions speak louder than words. We like it. And like I said, I mean, nobody is safe as far as Black people, women, children, babies, Black men. Nobody is safe because we just take it. You know, we are more concerned with making sure the oppressor is comfortable in the things that he does to us, aka Joe Biden. I'm gonna let you guys know if it is, in fact, Joe Biden gets into office in the next 4 years. I'm never gonna stop talking about it, because it was a lot of Negroes who put Joe Biden in the White House and asked nothing in return. You know, did you guys hear Joe Biden talk about the murder of Quawan? Did you hear Kamala? She's all over the news. She's talking about everything else, immigrants, healthcare, this, that, and the other. And so, you know,
DACA, illegals. We got to do the illegals.
Yeah, you know, we keep making sure the oppressor gets everything he and she wants. But when it comes to our people, like, imagine if we fought just as hard for people and the Black people who were murdered by the police and, you know, lynched off by, you know, Billy Bob. And imagine if we fought hard for them like we do for the oppressor. Imagine how much better we would be as a people. But like I said, I've lost hope. We don't want to get it. We will never get it. There are some of us who will end up racking our brains trying to help save our people, and they don't want to be saved. You know, we keep throwing them a life raft, and they keep swimming away from it. So I'm just at the point of interested in only talking to people who want to build and help those of us who want to get to the next level and fight for our freedom and everything else in between. But other than that,
I think you're right. I'm gonna put you in charge of fighting for our freedom. That's what I want to do. You'd be the minister of freedom fighting. You in charge of fighting for our freedom, and I would love to be in charge of just making sure that we could breathe. I want to put a little bit of this aggression in you. I want to give you my eyes so that you can see what I see. Because I'm looking at life through a different lens right now. I can see it plainly. I can see plainly what they're doing. You're eliminating a whole race of people. You're using the pandemic as a means to depopulate the country. You're allowing these police officers to kill us. On top of that, you drop all these goddamn guns in our neighborhood, knowing full well we don't have the discipline to learn how to properly use them or use them on the people that's actually the enemy. We use them on ourselves. So you have gave us, like Pac Mama told him, they're going to give you every tool that you could imagine to destroy yourself. They're going to give you everything that you need to destroy yourself. That's exactly what they're doing. So now you got this. I can't tell you what to do, but I had to shift my anger. I shifted it from the devil and I shifted it to my people. Because we smarter than that. It ain't hard to figure out what they're doing. We smarter than that. We not, Donovan said fear is taught. But hold on a second. We ain't scared to kill each other. So where the fear at? We ain't scared to kill each other. We ain't scared to kill each other over somebody looking at your gal ass. We ain't scared to kill each other over somebody stepping on your tennis shoes. We ain't scared to kill each other because them bag of pills you bought was 5 pills short. We ain't scared to kill each other over that. But we scared to kill each other over somebody doing something to your child. We scared to kill the enemy over somebody doing something to your child. But we're not scared to kill each other over bullshit. And Walter Lee Coulter, you're right. Being broke is a behavior. So if you're saying we out here and we killing for money, you broke because you choose to be homeboy. We all started at the same spot. We all started at the same spot. The difference is you went left and I decided to go right. It's only 2 kids that my mama gave birth to. And you will never see 2 kids that are so totally opposite. You will never see 2. My sister, she loved to party. That's her thing. Every Friday night, you catch her doing her thing. You catch me at home reading a book. All this what's going on, man, they're going to keep killing us. And it's sad to say, I'm going to be honest with you. They're going to keep killing us until we start killing them back.
No, absolutely. And, I was thinking about when, the sorors and all of them, y'all see that meme? They were strolling to the polls. They were strolling to the poll to get Massa and his mammy. I don't care. Gloves is off now. I don't give a damn. Okay. Strolling to the poll for Massa and his mammy, to get up in the White House and do absolutely nothing for us. Imagine if those same broads, the sorors, was strolling to get justice for this black man and black woman in America as much as they trying to get these white people back in the White House. Imagine how much better we would be. And so, like, when I see that kind of stuff, it infuriates me. It's like we are a dead people. Like, mentally, we are just completely dead. Like, it is disturbing to me that we don't see anything wrong in, big up in Massa in such a way. And it pisses me off to see black people want to rake somebody like Ice Cube over the coals because he didn't want to go along to get along. But yet you give Joe Biden the pass, and so our people are catching hell, and you out there strolling to the polls so you can go put the massa and his mammy in the White House. And for what? You got a fellow soror in the White House. What's she gonna do for you? Well, like, what did you get for that? Just name recognition. One of our girls is like, what did you get? Like, what did it amount to?
Now, Compton's finest says, I'm not going to read his whole comment. I'm going to read his last sentence. He says, now the younger generation is comfortable with whatever that is happening. I differ with you. They're not comfortable. They feel like they're entitled. They feel like somebody owe them something. And this comes from being in households with people that reward bad behavior. They feel like if they can't have that new PS5 that's coming out, they're going to do whatever the hell they need to do to get it. They feel like they're less of a kid if they don't have it. That you're less of a kid because you don't have a pair of new Jordans. You see what I'm saying? They feel entitled. And us as black people, we feel entitled. But you said what I've been thinking the whole show. Why the sorors don't open their mouth when shit like this happens? Why the Congressional Black Caucus ain't saying shit about this boy being dead in Baldwin, Louisiana? Matter of fact, let's don't even go to Congressional Black Caucus. Why is not every black politician in the state of Louisiana in a fucking uproar right now? Because you don't give a damn whether we live or die. The only thing you care about is souls to the polls. Get that vote. Get your stinking ass back in office. But like I say, y'all funky draws politicians, and you need to be thrown away any damn way.
Yeah, I'm just going to say this in regards to when 4 years is up and Kamala or Biden goes for re-election and people make the excuse of, oh, we got to hold them accountable, whatever it is. He never promised you anything. How do you hold somebody accountable to something that they didn't agree to? How do you do that? That shows you how, like you said, Demetrius, dead we are mentally. We are just dead. How can you be cool with non-citizens getting your tax dollars more so than you get them? They get more preferential treatment more so than you do. These illegal aliens can't go and fight a war for the United States, but you can. They can draft your ass and send your ass over there. How are we cool with that? How are we cool with during the election? Oh, the blacks are the backbone and the black women and stuff, they like to mentally masturbate us, right? Especially black women. Black women love to be mentally masturbated. Then the election is over. How are you cool with being put to the back of the line? I know y'all voted for it. I'm going to stand by y'all. But right now, we got to get this taken care of first, that taken care of. It's the same old trick. And you keep falling for it, but you guys keep telling me how smart you are. You all got smartphones. You don't Google Kamala Harris's background. You don't Google Joe Biden's background. You don't Google any of these representatives and their record, which gives you a good idea of what they're going to do and what they stand for. Oh, no, we got to get them. We're going to hold them accountable. I'm going to be defending Joe Biden and his record of his presidency because he didn't promise you a damn thing, not a damn thing. And you know what? You get what you voted for, period. Nothing.
They either going to hold him accountable, because like my man Harper Cardinal said, because Trump ain't in office, so they can't blame him no more. And you either going to hold Joe accountable, or you going to suck his little meat for the next 4 years. That's all it boils down to. You either going to hold him accountable, become just as unpopular as we are, or you going to suck his meat for 4 years. Because that's all it... See, Joe did promise something, Donovan. For the police department that's over there in Baldwin, Louisiana, for the sheriff's department that's over that parish, he did promise to give them more money. He's going to make sure they have more money to let this type of shit go on. Man, y'all better wake the hell up, man. Final thoughts, Ms. Demetrius.
My final thoughts are, and Gregory, how you doing? You say, so how can we change that? I'm not quite sure what you're referring to, but as far as changing the minds of Black people, you're only going to be able to work with the Black people who are open to that. Everybody else, Marcus Garvey told us years ago, leave them behind because they are no good. They do not want to change. They like what they're doing. So we got to have conversations with like-minded people. And the very people that Marcus Garvey said to leave behind were the very people that did him in. So just some food for thought.
My final thought is, the only thing that is going to help us solve our problems is addressing the economic wealth in the Black community, the lack of wealth in the Black community. Joe Biden isn't even addressing that. If we suffer from lack of resources and money, economic zones, that doesn't work. It's not going to work. I wish this new administration I hope I'm proven wrong. I hope Demetrius proven wrong. I hope the 5 stars proven wrong. I hope that everything that we've been telling you guys here when it comes to this new administration, that we are wrong and they're just going to give us all this money and they're just going to address all the issues. But I doubt it.
Let me say this really quick, Gary, just to Gregory. He says, get involved. I mean, what do you think people have been doing since we were free? I mean, I just talked about Nat Turner at the beginning of the show, but when he was a slave, he got involved. So it's not an issue of people not getting involved. It's an issue of people not wanting to, listen to people who are involved or people who are out there in the trenches. I mean, like, what else can you do? You can, like, what do they say? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And so that's what we're dealing with here. So it's not the fact that people, hell, we're involved every night, at least Monday through Friday, or hour to hour and a half like, what else can we do? I mean, this is just a fraction of what it is we do. So, I mean, getting involved to me sounds like a good idea, but I think it's a little bit utopian as well.
Study your history. The soldiers that got involved, they never celebrate them. They never celebrate them. The sacrificial lambs, they celebrate them all the time. In baseball, they have a day called Jackie Robinson Day. And that's where everybody gets to wear his number on every single team. Why you don't celebrate Josh Gibson? Why you don't celebrate Satchel Paige? These were monsters, but you wouldn't let them play. You celebrate Rosa Parks, but do you celebrate the sisters that went to jail before King found Rosa, that sat on them same buses? You don't celebrate Geronimo Pratt. You don't celebrate Malcolm. He doesn't have a holiday. You didn't want to celebrate Juneteenth. So do your history and find out that the soldiers are not celebrated. We know them, the ones of us that know them. We know that they gave their lives to the struggle. Fred Hampton, they don't celebrate that, brother. You feel what I'm saying? They'll never celebrate the soldiers. See, because the soldiers never conformed. They never conformed. They never would bow down. But I celebrate them all the time, man. See, unless Demetrius wouldn't have told y'all tonight, you'd have never knew that this the day that Nat died. We should celebrate the day that he was born as well as the day that he died. They never teach you about Nat in school. They never teach you about Emmett Till in school. I didn't learn nothing about Emmett Till in school. They're not going to teach you your real history. If you want to know your real history, and I'm going to challenge y'all, why don't you go sit down and talk to a couple of Panthers, man? They'll tell it to you. You want to know your real history? Go talk to the brothers from the Nation of Islam. They'll tell it to you. Now, I want you to understand that it's going to shock you. It's going to shock you. And I know one thing in the United States of America, the reason that you got this school system all jacked up is because you don't want them to know their history. Because if they find out exactly what you did to us for 400 years, this ain't gonna be no race war. This shit gonna be a cakewalk. I can promise you that if them youngsters figure it out. But just go study your history. Say another spirited discussion from the best in the business. Say, man, I want to thank my man Donovan Sadiq, the Queen, Demetrius. I'm the 5-star general, and you can catch me in the morning, 7 to 10. The Warzone Morning Show with my good friend Rodney Bigham. Tomorrow we got a special guest, comedian Lil Darryl, gonna come hang out with us. This dude crazy as all outdoors, man. But even on the radio show, we keep it 100. Ain't no faking about nothing we doing. So every night you want to learn a little bit about your history, show up and listen to it. Love in the Zone will be back Monday. Won't do the show tonight, but it'll be back Monday at 9 o'clock Central Standard Time as usual. But in the meantime, until tomorrow, we'll holler at you.